A liquor bottle exploded just a few feet from Bob Marley's feet. 18,000 people fell silent. The music stopped. Everyone turned their heads to the man. Everyone. A drunk man pointed, his voice hoarse with pain. "You left us behind, Bob. You betrayed us." No one expected what would happen next. What happened in those 10 to 12 minutes became legendary. This is not just another concert story. This is about anger meeting compassion, grief healing, and a conversation that saved a life. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear has never been made into a documentary. Until now. If you want the real stories behind music's greatest icons, subscribe to the Marley Files, the Untold Stories channel. We go deeper than the surface. We find the moments that changed everything. May 1979. Kingston, Jamaica was a war zone. Michael Bigga Thompson watched his 19-year-old brother Devin bleed to death on a trench-town corner. Political violence, wrong colors, wrong place, wrong second. Devin's dreams of teaching died with him on that sidewalk. Bigga attended the funeral with dry eyes and a heart turned to stone. A fire began to burn inside that stone, and that fire had a target. Bob Marley. Here's the thing. Bob Marley had come from those streets. He sang about revolution, the ghetto, the fight for the forgotten. Get up, was Bigga's battle cry. Those songs made him breathe in the darkness. Bob had to be one of them, of the fight, for the fight. And when Devin died, Bob was recording in London. He played for an audience that couldn't hear the bullets in their heads. The man who preached about suffering had been saved from suffering. At least, that's what grief whispered to Bigga. When Bob announced a national stadium show for August, Bigga scraped together ticket money. Not to hear music, to speak truth. August 17th, 1979. By showtime, Bigga had been drinking for 9 straight hours. His cousin Jerome tried stopping him at the entrance. "Brother, you're destroyed. Go home." Bigga shoved past him. Tonight, Bob Marley hears the truth. Inside, 18,000 people danced like Kingston wasn't dying, like brothers weren't getting murdered daily. Bigga felt only burning rage. Bob opened with Trenchtown Rock. The crowd went wild. Then came Get Up, Stand Up. Those lyrics about standing for your rights. Devin would never stand again. Never get up. Never fight. The bottle flew before Bigga's brain could stop his hand. Glass shattered. Screams erupted. Then Bigga's own voice, raw and shattered. "You abandoned us, Marley." Music died. 18,000 faces whipped toward him. Security guards charged like animals. But Bob Marley stepped forward and said 2 words that stopped everything. "Let him speak." The guards froze. Bob's eyes found Bigga in the chaos. "What's your name, brother?" Bigga's throat closed. Michael. They call me Bigga." "Bigga!" Bob repeated it slowly. "Why do you believe I abandoned you?" The question hung heavy in the humid air. "Because we're dying while you're safe in London, making music for people who don't know our pain." Bob nodded, actually listening. Then he did the unthinkable. "Come up here, Bigga. Tell everyone what you're really angry about." The crowd parted. Bigga walked forward on shaking legs, drunk and terrified, and suddenly unsure. When he reached the stage, Bob Marley himself reached down and pulled him up, handed him a microphone. Up close, Bob looked different. Older, exhausted, deep lines around his eyes. "Talk to me, brother." Bigga's voice cracked. "My brother died 3 months ago. Political violence. He was 19. Bob's entire expression transformed. Pain flooded his face. "What was his name?" "Devin." Bob turned to face the silent stadium. "We lost Devin 3 months ago. 19 years old. A murmur rippled through thousands. Everyone had lost someone. Bob looked back at Bigga. You think I forgot Jamaica because I wasn't there when Devon died? You were in London, Bigga said quietly, making albums for strangers. I was in London, Bob agreed. You know why? Because they tried to murder me here. December 1976. Shot me in my home. Shot my wife, Rita. Nearly killed us both. Bigga knew this. Everyone knew it. But hearing it directly from Bob, standing 3 feet away, made it devastatingly real. I left because staying meant dying, Bob continued. But I never left my people. Everything I created, Exodus, Kaya, I made it about home. Because I couldn't be home. His hand landed on Bigga's shoulder. But you're right about something. My music didn't save Devon. Didn't stop those bullets. Bigga felt tears burning behind his eyes. Music can't stop bullets, brother, Bob said softly. But you know what music can do? He turned to the band. Play Redemption Song. Just me and acoustic. The Wailers stepped back. Bob sat on a stool, gestured for Bigga to sit beside him. Bigga's legs gave out. Bob began playing. Those opening chords floated through National Stadium like a prayer for the broken. Old pirates? Yes, they rob I. Bigga felt 3 months of refused tears finally breaking free. Between verses, Bob spoke directly to him, though the microphone carried every word to 18,000 witnesses. You want to honor Devon? Don't let anger eat you alive. Don't let the same hate that killed him destroy your soul. Bigga's shoulders shook. He sobbed in front of thousands. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Bob reached over and pulled Bigga into an embrace, and then the crowd began singing. Quietly at first, then building. 18,000 voices wrapping around Bigga's grief like a warm blanket. When the song ended, Bob helped Bigga stand. Promise me something. What? Wake up tomorrow and choose life over anger. Honor Devon by living, not by dying inside. Bigga couldn't speak, could only nod. The crowd gave him a standing ovation. Pure respect. Bob returned to center stage. The show continued. But Bigga stood at the side of the stage, still crying, feeling something fundamental shift inside. After the concert, Bob's manager found Bigga backstage. Bob wants to see you. In the dressing room, Bob handed Bigga water and sat across from him. For a long moment, neither spoke. I'm sorry, Bigga finally managed. Stop! Bob held up a hand. You said what needed to be said. That took real courage. I was drunk. You were hurting, Bob corrected. The alcohol just gave you permission to show it. Then Bob said something that would change Bigga's entire trajectory. You asked why I make music for white people. Here's the truth. I make music for everyone because the problems we face, violence, oppression, poverty, those aren't just Jamaican problems. They're human problems. If I reach people in London or New York, maybe they'll understand what's happening here. He pulled out paper and wrote an address. This is the community center where I used to play football as a kid. They need volunteers. They need people to talk to the young ones, keep them away from violence. You interested? Bigga stared at the paper. You think I could do that? I know you can, Bob said. Because you understand what they're going through. You've lost someone. That pain? That's your qualification. As Bigga stood to leave, Bob grabbed his arm. That anger you feel? Don't try to kill it. Anger is just love that has nowhere to go. Find somewhere for it to go. Bigga went to that community center the next morning, hangover pounding but purpose crystal clear. He started working with at-risk youth, teaching them music, telling them about Devon, about Bob, about choosing life over anger. 6 months later, Bob Marley's management reached out. They'd heard about his work, donated instruments, funded classes. Bigga never became famous, never left Trench Town. But for the next 40 years, he worked with kids, using music to offer alternatives to violence. Every year on Devon's birthday, Bigga played Redemption Song and remembered the night Bob Marley taught him that grief doesn't have to become hate. Today, the Michael Bigga Thompson Youth Center serves over 200 kids annually. Above the entrance hangs a sign, "None but ourselves can free our minds." Bob Marley. Inside hangs a grainy photograph from that night in 1979. Bob Marley embracing a crying man on stage. Here's what makes this story devastating. In 2015, a journalist asked Bigga what Bob whispered during that embrace, something the microphones never caught. Bigga smiled through tears. He said 3 things. First, Devon is proud of you for being here, for feeling. Second, the pain you feel, that's love with nowhere to go. Give it somewhere to go. And third, I won't be here forever. When I'm gone, you keep teaching them. You keep choosing love. This was 1979. Bob seemed invincible. 2 years later, Bob Marley died of cancer at 36. When the funeral procession passed through Kingston, Bigga stood with thousands of mourners. But unlike most who were saying goodbye to a legend, Bigga was saying goodbye to the man who'd saved his life. The recording studio at the youth center has a plaque above the door. Music can't stop bullets, but it can heal what bullets break. And underneath, in memory of Devon Thompson, 1960 to 1979, and Bob Marley, 1945 to 1981. Both gone too soon, neither forgotten. If this story moved you, subscribe to Marley Files, the untold stories. We bring you the moments that changed music history forever. Drop a comment. Have you ever been shown grace when you expected judgment? Hit that notification bell because the untold stories are just beginning.